Good morning, Thurston. It's time for the Eagle Report.
Quiet on set. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
With the legalization of marijuana in Michigan, LaKyla Mullins and Asia Yanda's report on some of the law's restrictions about the students' opinions about the passage of the law.
Personally, I think since you could buy tobacco products at 18, it don't make sense to wait till you're 21. So I honestly think once you turn 18, you should be able to carry.
I think you should, you pick whenever you want to do it. So if you're 16, 17, if you feel it's necessary, then why not?
I say 16 because it's the legal age of consent.
Me personally, I feel like the right age would be around like 18 to 19.
I feel like 18 because I don't know, like they claim that you're an adult. Like 21 you're an adult, but like 18 you're also a young adult. So I feel like 18 you should be able to possess or smoke it or whatever.
In the state of Michigan, on December 6, 2018, marijuana will become legal for recreational use. You might not be surprised to know that teenagers already use marijuana as much as they drink alcohol. With this in mind, of course, other rules came along with it. Marijuana is still not allowed to be smoked in public, and you must be 21 or older to possess or cultivate it.
Some will react good, some will react bad. It depends who you're dealing with, certain crowds.
I think they've been doing it anyway, so.
I feel like some of them, like most percentage, would not like it at all. Because to be truthfully honest, a lot of them really already doing it.
I think that they'll have a problem with the fact that it's 21 because, I mean, they do it now anyway, but it's like the fact that you gotta wait till you're 21 is kind of like a stretch, in my opinion.
Remember, marijuana is restricted to anyone under the age of 21. Be safe, everyone.
New on THTV, we have virtual field trips. Taylor Dixon was the first person to be able to have the chance to tell us about the Four Corners Monument in the southwest part of the United States.
Today we have a field trip to the Four Corners. The Four Corners is a region of the United States consisting of the corners of Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. At the Four Corners, you are able to stand in all 4 states at the same time. There is a mountain valley, rafting, hiking, and much more to do there.
In other national news, I had a chance to look at the impact of the wildfires in California. The wildfires in North and South California have been going on for about 3 weeks, and most of the people are hoping for heavy rain constantly because there are still some flames. The smoke from the fires has now spread to parts in New Jersey but hasn't caused any hazards. These fires start from bad climate changes, and many people who are investigating in the fire are saying that Pacific Gas and Electronics are the cause of the fires in the North and South California. Out of all of the wildfires that have happened, this was the most damaging one, with thousands of acres being burned, many deaths, and people's houses are being burned down. As of November 24th, the fire flames and smoke has been 100% cleared of all areas in California.
Now we'll head up into space. Jaden Lee and Valder Powell give us a quick look the Mars landing, which happened last week.
To reach its reserved spot on Mars, NASA's lander on Monday must hit a precise spot on the red planet's upper atmosphere, survive a steering plunge to the surface involving a supersonic parachute, and touch down softly on a tripod of legs.
Although we've done it before, landing on Mars is hard, and this mission is no different. The process to get from the top of the atmosphere of Mars to the surface we call entry, descent, and landing. Just 7 minutes before arriving to the top of the Mars atmosphere is to separate the cruise stage. Before you hit the top of the atmosphere, though, the space capsule has to orient itself so that the heat shield is precisely facing the atmosphere. Now the fun begins. The vehicle is moving at nearly 13,000 miles an hour. but it's hitting the top of the atmosphere at a very shallow angle, 12 degrees. Any steeper, the vehicle will hit the thicker part of the atmosphere and it will melt and burn up. Any shallower, the vehicle will bounce off the atmosphere of Mars. At the very top of the atmosphere, it's about 70 miles above the surface of Mars, and the air is starting to get thicker and thicker and thicker. As it does that, the temperature on the heat shield gets well over 1,000 degrees centigrade, enough to melt steel. Over the next 2 minutes, the vehicle decelerates at a backbreaking 12 Earth Gs, from 13,000 miles an hour to about 1,000 miles an hour. At about 10 miles above the surface of Mars, a supersonic parachute is launched out of the back of the vehicle. 15 seconds after the parachute inflates, it's time to get rid of the heat shield. 6 pyrotechnic devices fire simultaneously, allowing the heat shield to fall and tumble away from the vehicle, exposing the lander to the surface of Mars. 10 seconds after the heat shield is dropped, 3 pyrotechnically deployed legs are released and locked for landing. About a minute later, the landing radar is turned on, sending pulses toward the surface of Mars as the vehicle starts to try to measure how high it is above the surface and how fast it's going. At about a mile above the surface of Mars, the lander falls away from the back shell and lights its engines. And very quickly, the vehicle must rotate out of the way so that the parachute and the back shell doesn't come down to hit it. The last thing that has to happen is that on the moment of contact, the engines have to shut down immediately. If they don't, the vehicle will tip over.
The landing on Mars went well. This is not their first successful land on Mars. They landed 8 other times on Mars with robots and now thinking about a possible human mission landing on Mars. Unfortunately, none have been attempted.
Immigration is a hot topic these days across the country. Here's Adrian Boyer with the report on the Migrant Caravan.
In early October 2018, a caravan of Central American migrants started moving up towards the United States to seek asylum to live. On November 26, over 5,000 migrants approached Mexico's border while President Trump tells Mexico to ship migrants home or the border will be permanently closed. Following this statement from Trump, a vow from Mexico to deport migrants who tried to illegally enter the United States. U.S. border agents shot several rounds of tear gas after some migrants attempted to penetrate various points along the border. This prospective deal between the U.S. and Mexico was seen as a way to decide thousands of migrants from seeking asylum in the United States, a process that can take years. The legal bar for claiming asylum is high and generally requires applicants to show a specific risk of persecution based on factors. Let's turn to Thursday News with the interview with Mr. Dishman, who we all know as Mr. D.
Albert Dishman, the person you all know as Mr. D, everyone's favorite staff member and leader. But did you ever stop and think what he did when he was our age? No? Well, I'm here to give you the inside scoop on it. With this honorable interview with the great Mr. D. When he was around our age, 16 or so, he played all-star basketball. And guess what? He was really good at it. So here's what we asked. At what age did you start playing basketball?
I was in elementary school, and I had a teacher. She's a lady, and she took us to gym class almost every day, and she started me playing basketball.
Why did you continue with it? What drove you to become an all-star player?
Well, my family, my mother's brothers, they all grew up and went to the Army and came back home. And they would take me around to the gyms on the east side. This is all on the east side. And I would watch. And then my mother wasn't married. Yeah, she was married. And then she moved outside of Ann Arbor and took me with her and my father. And my father was working at the bomber plant. Okay. And he wound up going to the service.
Well, can you name one moment when basketball was like it, when you realized this is what I want to do, this is what I'm going to do?
Well, I was playing, you know what, that's a good question because I wasn't even on these teams. And I would go up to U of M, and I would go to U of M and on Saturdays and stuff to play with their players. And I was a lot younger than them. And that was when it started. And I would go up to Eastern. I was living on Eastern's campus and playing with living with the players. We had apartments and stuff. And, you know, so I have loved this game for quite a long time. And I like other games too. I'm pretty good at those too.
Everyone has a story, and everyone has a past, even with the people you least expect it from. This was his story, and we were honored to hear it. Thank you, Mr. D.
Thank you, Mr. D, for sharing some of your life stories with us.
One of the most important skills in high school and life is setting and achieving goals. Here's Alicia with our weekly league tip, telling you everything you need to know about setting goals.
Hi, my name is Alicia, and the link tip for this week is setting goals. I talked a little about this on my last link tip, but I'm going to go into details about why setting goals are important. Setting goals gives you long-term vision and short-term motivation, and setting goals helps you organize your time and resources efficiently. The steps to creating and achieving your goals are creating SMART goals. SMART goals are the general guidelines for creating goals that are more likely to be accomplished. The acronym SMART means S for specific and significant. Set goals that are as specific as possible because the broader the goal, the less likely to be measurable. M, measurable. Set goals that are measurable in terms of being able to clearly see when you have accomplished your goal. This way, you will never stay on one goal for too long, wondering if you ever achieved it. A, attainable. Set goals that challenge you, but not goals that cannot be achieved. You shouldn't set goals that are unlikely to happen and wait for it to happen out of nowhere. Have goals that take time but are possible. R, relevant. Set goals that are important. Goals will do you no good if there are relevant goals that won't further you academically or that won't further you in life. T, time bound. Set all your goals with a time limit. No matter how good you are, if your goals have no time limits, they won't get done. And even if they do get done, they won't get done in the most efficient way that could have been done. Some more tips for your goals are: make your goals positive, write your goals down, and set priorities for each goal. This was your weekly link tip. Have a great week, guys. Back to the studio.
Next up is Kevin Wright and Colin Harris with the Thursday Sports Recap and the Need to Know segments of the Eagle Report.
It was a clean sweep over Carlson Tuesday night. Freshman boys won 61-34. The JV basketball team beat Carlson 42-39, and the varsity basketball team won 72-61. Go Eagles.
Tomorrow, there will be a boys freshman, boys JV, and boys varsity basketball game at Edsel Ford. Also, girls JV and girls varsity versus Franklin here at Thurston. Wednesday, there will be a poetry club meeting and night school after school. Thursday, girls varsity and JV basketball will go against Lutheran Westland. Friday, boys freshmen, JV, and varsity basketball will compete at Redford Union.
The boys freshman basketball team beat girls 51-45. The JV lost 48-36. Varsity also lost with a score of 64-46.
Remember to check the monitors in the hallway for the updates during the week on all Thursday activities and club meetings.
To conclude our show, Kevin Wright explored Thursday High School in slow motion.
Have a wonderful week, Eagles.
Don't forget to soar.